Hi everyone, Mike Lambo here, and today I'm just going to do a quick video about making counters for my books. Now I'm fully aware that many people can make much better counters than I can, and indeed they do for some of my games, and have for some of my games, and have kindly in some cases uploaded those to Board Game Geek, where you can, other people can download them and use those. But generally my books these days do tend to come with counters in the back, suggested counters, which are perfectly adequate, and obviously the benefit of these, they're going to be the right counters, they're going to do the right thing, and if they have got numbers on them they'll be right, and so on and so forth. What I've got here is a sheet from a game I'm working on at the moment. I'm not going to give any information away about that just yet, but fairly sort of generic counters at the moment, and I just want to very quickly show how easy it is to create these things, because I'm also aware, as well as all those people that are very confident at doing this kind of stuff, and indeed much better than me, there probably are some people out there who are put off by the thought of having to make counters. Although I would stress, you don't have to make counters for my games. There are other ways of playing them, and that's explained in the books themselves. But for me, counters do just help to bring things alive a little, and generally make the games quicker to play. So this is the sort of equipment you're going to need to make my counters. What I've got here is just a piece of cardboard. This is just from a cardboard box that probably came from Amazon or something, I don't know. I've got the sheet itself. You could remove this from the book, because it's always the back page of the book, so you can very neatly just slice it out of the book with a pair of scissors. Or you can download it. I always put a copy on Board Game Geek, so you can download it from there if necessary, and or you can photocopy the book if you've got a copy, or whatever you do there. Get a sheet with counters on. Now you can use just a piece of paper, and if you do that, you're going to want a bit of glue. So basic glue. You can see this is a designed, looks like, doesn't it? It's for young kids to use and stuff. Just PVA glue, white glue that dries clear, doesn't really matter. There are lots of other types of glue I'm sure you could use instead. If you're going to use glue, then the trick, I think, for me with experience, has been generally to not use too much of it. Okay, so to really, if you put a blob of this on a piece of card that you're going to use for your counters, then you maybe get another counter, an old brush if you've got one laying around, but sorry, not counter, another piece of card. I mean, that'll do perfectly well. You don't need to glue up all your paintbrushes or anything like that. And then literally just spread this as thinly as it'll allow. This literally goes to a clear, shiny surface. I mean, that one little blob of glue is doing almost this whole piece of card there, as you can see very well in that. Let me put my light on, that might help, mightn't it? You can probably see that better there, so glinting in the light there, and just it covers it so well. And that, then you put your piece of paper on there and let it dry. Obviously you would do a bigger page and cover what you need from this. Now you don't usually need a massive piece, so what I usually do is get the sheet of counters and just cut out exactly what I do need from that to keep it manageable, with some distance around the edge. There's no point at this stage trying to cut these things out too carefully, because you do want a bit of leeway to get the things stuck down properly, and then you can cut them out once it's all dried. So this is what I tend to do. And the other thing I tend to do, I have used this glue many of my counters, in fact, for early games. But what I saw somebody doing on a video that I watched was was buying these A4 label sheets, and that's what this is. So it's I'm sure you know what I mean by that. It's just basically a sticky label that pulls off like that. Okay, but it's an A4 sheet in one full label, so not it's not sort of 10 labels or whatever on one sheet. It's one full label, A4 size. And I got a pack of these on Amazon. I'm sure you can get them from any good stationers, and I think for 100 I paid about £5 or £6. So I don't know, what's that, $6 or $7 or something. So really quite reasonable per sheet, and that I suspect will last me a very long time. And certainly I would imagine, it's years since I bought this glue. Again, this glue lasts forever. I bought this when my kids were young, which is, you know, quite a few years ago now. It's still probably about a quarter full. In terms of prices, there's probably not much between buying the glue and paper and buying, you know, 100 sheets of this. So the advantage of this, of course, is it's ready glued. You just peel the back off nice and easily like that. Get your sheet of card, just turn that around, so there's a bit of a crease in there, and then put that carefully on your card and just smooth it out, making sure you get no creases, or that's not really going to matter. And it's on there. The other good thing about that, of course, is instantly dry. And I would say, if you do try and glue counters to card, make sure it's thoroughly dry before you attempt to cut it. And that's obvious, isn't it? I'm sure, you know, people would do that, but just don't be tempted to rush and start trying to cut them out before your glue's dry, because you'll find your paper starts to slide around and so on. Good thing is with this is, you know, instantly stuck on there. It's stuck nice and firmly. And then what I can do is simply start to cut with a good pair of scissors, and, you know, I can get these counters out of here fairly efficiently, fairly quickly. And, you know, away you go. Now, some card works better than others. As I say, this is a cardboard box and therefore a little bit rough and ready for the purpose, but, you know, these are counters, as I say, I'm producing for a new game, and so I'll know I'll have to change them and do new ones and stuff, so I'm not really bothered about using the finest card. Once I've finalised them, then I would tend to use, you know, something perhaps a bit stiffer than a cereal packet and that kind of thing. But you can see there, you know, you can cut those out nice and easily, and you have your counter ready to go, and you know, works pretty well. And to be honest, you know, it's probably going to take me 20 minutes to cut those out, and, you know, considering the price of my games generally, it's worth a bit of work to, you know, avoid having to pay, I don't know, maybe $40-50 or whatever for a boxed game where your counters will come. Now, and yes, I know people are happy to pay that, and, you know, you get nice counters for that, but you can make perfectly adequate counters from these, and it works well. So hopefully, it's a nice quick video just to show you, you know, how I do it, and maybe for those of you who have been slightly reluctant to do that, perhaps give you the, you know, the sort of impetus or confidence just to have a go at that. It's really straightforward and works pretty effectively. Okay, thanks guys, cheers.